So what's up, YouTube? We over here, and we have the question for today: is manga or light novels? What book format should I present my series in? Manga or light novels? And when I say manga, I tend to classify manga and graphic novels under the same situation. I just classify them under the same category. People will say, "Oh no, the graphic novel's not the same." At the end of the day, they are a type of they are a type of storytelling that tells stories, within panels, just like the manga. The only thing is that one is Japanese, one is American. That's it. But it's the same thing. So manga or light novels. What format do you want to choose to make your story? And it's an easy one. The very first question that you have to put yourself is, do you know how to draw? Do you know how to illustrate? One thing is illustration, one thing is actually doing comic pages. Are you good at illustrating, or are you good at, doing panel per panel in comic sequences? So if that's the first question that you go for, and if you don't know how to do comic pages sequence for sequences, I would say, go ahead and do a light novel. It's mostly text. It's mostly detailed writing of the story. It brings you in. It would do, it's pretty much the same effect as a graphic novel or manga, right? If the graphic novel or manga is great, it paints the whole picture in your mind. If your writing is great and you're a great writer, it paints the picture in your mind. So they both do the same effect. So if you're good at illustrating only, go ahead and do a light novel. I've seen a lot of light novels that have 10, 15 pages of illustration. Some of them have 20. Like the SAO. I believe there's an SAO light novel that only has like 10 illustrations throughout the whole book. All the rest is just text. And Sword Art Online SAO has something been something very big, so you can actually do a light novel. It's not necessarily to have a manga. Now, one thing that I go for when it comes to doing this type of situation, like light novels, I have this very different image of light novels in my head, and that's because I actually know how to do comics. So I want to do a light novel that is going to be between text, illustrations, and actual comic pages within the light novel. I don't know if anybody has done that yet, but it's going to be very crazy. I want for the action to be in panel format. I want for, like the big suspense part, the part that's supposed to grab you, and you be like, whoa, I want for that to be like in illustration format, and, I want for the story to be told in text, and there's going to be throughout the whole entire book. You don't have to do something regular. You don't have to do the same format that everybody else has. You can go ahead and, throw in like your 2 cents and make a twist to it and make something totally different, something that will knock somebody's socks off. So that's the whole situation between light novels or manga. Now, if you are an artist and you don't know how to text, of course you're going to be dipping more into how do you call this, manga, right? You don't know how to write stories, but you have great paneling. You can tell a story throughout your paneling, but it's just that you just don't have like a good story to do. What I suggest is that you find yourself a writer that's actually serious about, putting his or her story out there. A writer that writes something great. You should always ask for like a sample of the material. If he or she sends a sample of the material and you read it and you like it, you can go ahead and work with that person. There's always some type of solution in this world. There's always a solution. You don't always have to stick to one type of situation, right? You always have to try to make best of your ability. Now, I would say it would be better if you write and illustrate, because you save yourself the whole situation of, trying to work with somebody else, which I'm not saying is bad, but I'm just saying, me personally, I would rather do my own stuff because, it's easier, it's less of a headache, per se. It could be less of a headache to work in twos because, you only have one job, and the other person only has one job, he or she is in charge of writing it, and then you are in charge of the art, or you're in charge of the art, and he or she is only in charge of the writing. So it's actually a 50-50 give or take situation, and that's actually something very good. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that, I've seen a lot of people not wanting to do light novels because they just have to have a manga, It's not Manga is not something that, how I would say this without offending anybody. I mean, you really can't. But manga is not something that is obligated towards you. You know, it's not an obligation to have. It's not an obligation for you to become a manga artist, a comic book artist, and, have your stuff out there that people are going to purchase it. It's not an obligation. If that was the situation, everybody will be a manga artist. Everybody will be a comic book artist. People won't have to go through so many hardships like going to, Shonen Jump over there in Japan and, submitting stories and submitting one shots and doing this over and over and over again. Some of them never make it in. Some of them finally make it in after their 20th time or their 25th time, going over there with different stories. And then there's just some people that has, that talent that what they have is actually very good. They go the first time and bam, and they land a job and they get the stuff. I mean, that's all good for them. It was just meant to be. They were meant to be out there. But, sometimes you have to come with, into reality that, not everybody's like that. Not everybody has the gift to do manga or graphic novels, But light novels is something different, Light novels, if you really, really go into your story, if you really know how to write in sequence and you really know how to paint a picture with your words, you can actually bring the person in, and like I said, not everybody will be a light novelist either, not everybody can have, this incredible story, not everybody can be this incredible writer. There's a lot of people that's actually born with that talent, there's people that they just can depict, they can just depict the situation so greatly that it just immerses you into the story, right? There's people that have to take classes. There's people that have to, polish up on their writing skills, and there's nothing wrong with that either. What I'm saying is, learn how to pick your battles. Learn how to fight the fight. Basically, learn how to choose. Always know your strengths and your weaknesses, which is something very, very important. People don't go to war without a weapon. You always have to go to war with a weapon. You always have to pick the weapon that you're more comfortable that you're most comfortable with. If you don't know how to fight with a sword, but you're good with a lance, you don't grab the lance. That's the whole situation that we're in right now. So, does that answer your question of should I do it in manga or light novel? Do you feel entitled that you should have a manga? Not everybody's entitled to anything. You're not entitled to anything in this world, The only thing that you're entitled to in this world is, for one day, we are all going to go. And I know that's crazy. It sounds kind of dark, the stuff getting kind of dark. But it is the truth. That's the only one thing that we're entitled in. So, yeah, guys, just remember, we have stories coming out there, my original story is about half mummy, half zombie hybrid that has lost his memory, and, he's actually, in this crazy world because he wakes up 7 years after the zombie war, and, he wakes up with no recollection of who he is or what he is, and he's trying to get back his memory. It is a shonen type story, and there's a lot of action, there's a lot of adventure, there's drama, there's comedy, there's everything. I mean, there's a little bit for everything. So, that's will be coming out soon for Kickstarter. I will be dropping out the first 3 chapters so you can read it for free on Webtoon, so you can have some type of understanding of what the story's about, and I hope you guys actually go and look that up. And I'm not the only one. This is from Slap Punch Enterprise. We're building up a company. We're a group of artists. We have a couple of writers, and we're coming together, and I'm gonna launch out these stories. Like Cast the Trials from our artist and from our illustrator and writer. Sorry, Beyond Perfect, as well as Historia from our writer Ephraim Broughton. Illustrators, that would be Mitsu, and then we have Oshimaru, the Legend of Samurai, from Mitsu as well. She's a great artist, great writer as well, and then we have our boy Kuma. He just writes these very, very awesome stories. So yeah, stay tuned for that. If you want to see a little bit of our art of what our original characters actually look like, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. It should be Slap Punch Enterprise. You can go ahead there will be a lot of cool illustrations there. If you want to look up for Oshimaru, it's Mitsu Blinger on Instagram, and if you want to look up for Caster Trials, it would be Beyond perfect. But yes, this is your boy Gabi coming at you with a different type of story. And yeah, peace out.